Well, since the news broke of the school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, BC, Canadians everywhere are experiencing a whole range of emotions: shock, sadness, even renewed anxiety about violence in our society. So joining us to discuss this is Janine Hubbard, a registered psychologist. Good morning, Janine.
Good morning, Ellen.
So I guess how would you describe the way people across the country might be feeling right now in the aftermath of this tragedy?
I think it's a heavy morning and a heavy day for the entire country. I think there's a mix of emotions. There's definitely grief, there's sadness, there's confusion. In many cases, there's, feelings of shattered kind of world belief systems. We tend to believe as Canadians that, well, these kind of things don't happen here. And they certainly don't happen in our schools. So some very fundamental beliefs for a lot of people are, being challenged this morning. And in many ways, even if we are not directly impacted, this is a collective trauma because there's no parent in this country that can't imagine this as kind of their worst fear. And so they may not know anyone directly involved, but they're feeling it. And people in our small communities in particular know just what an impact this is likely to have on that very small and connected community.
Yeah, and we certainly can relate to that, having lots of small communities here, and we're not very far, really, when you think of it in the grand scheme of things from Tumbler Ridge. So given all of that, what advice do you have for us as we try to process how we're feeling today?
Well, I think part of it is being mindful. So one of the things we know happens with bad news stories like this is our brains go into alert mode. They flood us with adrenaline and cortisol, ready to, deal with a threat. And in this case, we're not in immediate danger, but it takes a little bit of time to regulate that, to notice what's going on in your body. Unfortunately, another side effect is we want to seek out information because we want to understand things, which is not great for our mental health. So today, acknowledging it's okay to be feeling sad, it's okay to be confused, it's okay to be angry. All of those feelings are very, very normal, even if you weren't immediately impacted.
But as you mentioned, it happened in a school. What impact could that have on children and teens and their parents as they hear about and learn more about these events?
Absolutely, because we tend to think of school as a safe place. What I would encourage every parent is please keep sending your kids to school. That is a place where they can connect with their peers, their teachers, the support staff within the school are going to be working to make sure the kids feel safe. We've spoken about this before in terms of things that the schools do to make sure that school is an okay place to be. And at the moment, that's going to be the focus for, I think, most, if not all, schools at different levels this week.
What should people keep in mind, though, as they do try to get more information about things, to learn more about what happened?
Prepare yourself to receive news. So tune into a regular broadcast or plan when you're going to check out, say, website stories. Make sure they are from reputable news sources. I have been avoiding, but I already know the amount of misinformation and, anger and hatred that is online right at the moment. So definitely talk to your teams about where they're getting their information. But go in prepared and then kind of self-assess. Either make sure that you have scheduled something like maybe, okay, I'm going to listen to the news, but then I'm going to go and walk the dog and take a little bit of a breather. Or I'm going to do something to check in to see how I'm feeling after I've received that news. Has it helped me because I've learned more information and that is helping me, or has it increased my anxiety? So check in.
And what about for little ones, families with little ones? How do you have those discussions, or do you, with them about what's happened?
I think it's really important because kids pick up, even if they don't know what exactly is going on, they pick up on, how Adults are reacting, their moods, their emotions, their body language. As much as possible, try not to be consuming news with little ears around, but do the very basics with the, what have you heard? What do you know? What are you worried about? How are you feeling? Validate those feelings. There are great resources out there, especially for really little ones. Sesame Workshop, the lovely folks at Sesame Street, have produced a whole series of videos and parent resources on how to talk to your little kids about really tough topics. I hate that we live in a world that's needed, but it is there as a resource that for many parents who just don't know where to get started, it might help with the discussion.
Right. And for teens, because that can be tricky territory too, to keep the lines of communication open. What's your advice there?
Yeah, again, it's if you can have a discussion about where they're getting their information from. Some of it, again, is what have you heard? What are the other kids at school saying? How do you feel about some of those? And also knowing that they may not be processing it with you, but equipping them with accurate information. And if they're processing it with their peers, that's very typical and normal, but not shying away or shutting down big emotions from anyone at the moment. Because grief is normal. This is a collective trauma. This is a loss of innocence. It's challenging so many of our thoughts that there may be people across the country who a couple of weeks from now are still feeling acute distress and afraid to ask for help because they're like, well, I wasn't immediately impacted. I wasn't involved. Please know that this has, for a variety of reasons, impacted all of us. And no one's going to question you if you say, I'm really struggling and I think I need help.
All right. Janine, I appreciate your time once again this morning. Thank you so much.
Oh, anytime. Thanks.
And that is Janine Hubbard, a registered psychologist. For more on what happened in Tumbler Ridge, we'll have more on World Report coming up at 8 o'clock. And you can read more about it now, too, on our website, cbcnews.ca.